Welcome back to the Wizards Lair podcast, where we break down every episode of Wizards of Waverly Place. This is episode 3. I'm Daphne, and I'm with my husband, Xander. Today we are going over season 1, episode 3, which is called I Almost Drowned in a Chocolate Fountain.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on this episode?
What a classic title. Well, obviously, it's a great episode. I can't think of one bad episode of the show off the top of my head, but yeah, so definitely a classic title, and we're going to talk all about this episode and the characters that we meet, some of the magical elements, of course, and we just want to say real quickly thank you for joining us. We've been really bad at uploading episodes, but it's been, it's the holiday season, so
it's been busy.
It's Christmas and New Year, so first off, Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes, Happy 2023.
Happy 2023. We wish you well. We've been kind of busy this holiday season, but we're going to get back into it. We're uploading more episodes. We're going to start watching more and more Wizards.
We're going to be more consistent, we promise.
Which we love Wizards, and we hope you guys do too. And thank you so much for joining us and talking about Wizards of Waverly Place. So like my wife said, we're going to be talking about episode 3, I Almost Drowned in a Chocolate Fountain. So in this episode, just a brief overview, Alex fails her Spanish test, and even though she really wants to go on a date with Riley, until she passes that test, she cannot do so. And so she, of course, cheats in order to pass the test and goes on the date, and chaos ensues.
And the way that she cheats is kind of the big thing of this episode is the pocket elves.
Yes.
Which we'll get into is kind of the big magical thing that the Russo kids are learning about in their wizard lesson at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, so one thing we like to do on this podcast is just break down the aspects of the magic and the spells that the wizards use and the Russos use. But in this episode, I don't think they used a single spell, did they?
Not that I noticed. I think literally the only thing was the pocket elves.
The only magical aspect was the pocket elves. So I guess we'll just start there, because the pocket elves are basically little elves that have in-depth knowledge on every subject, magical or non-magical. They're almost like books or like encyclopedias.
Or the internet, like Justin pointed out.
Or the internet, like Justin pointed out. But Jerry said they were quote-unquote cooler than the internet.
Apparently.
I feel like that's something that old people say just to try and,
Right.
But it's kind of funny, because I was thinking about the pocket elves while we were kind of watching this episode back. And this episode came out in 2007, October 26th of 2007 to be exact. And I was just thinking about the pocket elves. Would the pocket elves even be relevant today, do you think? Because they were already kind of like not relevant back then. Because even Justin did mention the internet. What did Jerry say? He said, do you want to find out a way where you can get information on anything at any time?
Right.
And Justin's like, the internet. But so that was obviously 2007. But now that we're in 2022,
that was before smartphones, or at least before they were
as smart as they are now.
Yeah, and before every single person had them. So that's a really good point.
So would a wizard even have the need for? I feel like pocket elves might be like librarians, just kind of sitting there all alone.
Yeah, just bored.
Just bored. Now, speaking of librarians, though, and books, I made the comparison about them being like books and encyclopedias. One of the Russos asked, specifically, how do you check out?
Yes.
It was Justin, of course,
Justin.
The book nerd. Yeah, Justin. Justin said, how many can you check out at once? And Jerry said, none.
They're not
library books. And so I'm like, okay, I get that. They're sentient beings. They're pocket elves.
Humanoid and, creatures.
But how do you, quote-unquote, check them out then? If you can't check them out, they're not library books, then what are they actually for, and how do you get them?
Well, you get them from, he pulled a lever. Jerry pulled the lever. I think he just disapproved of wording it in that way, in like a dehumanizing sort of way.
Which makes sense.
It is essentially like checking them out, because it seems like they have no problem appearing whenever they are summoned.
True.
So
now that brings up another point too, or at least a point of confusion, because all Jerry said was that if you wanted to get a pocket elf, all you had to do was pull that lever, and the one that you want would come shooting through the magic portal.
How does it know?
And you have a fun game. You play a fun game of catch, he says, which is fine. It's great. But how does the machine know which pocket elf you're wanting?
I would assume it just... it's magic, so I'm going to assume it reads your mind. So
it's
you have
magic.
to focus.
The universal answer, which, you must be right, because Jerry put in no code. He didn't type in the name of the pocket
He
elf.
didn't say it out loud.
He didn't say it out loud. He just pulled the lever, grabbed a catcher's mitt, and caught it. It's like, what the heck?
I know.
There's no really further explanation. But, of course, it's great comedy, though.
Right. It's great, hilarious.
It's great comedy and great television. But, yeah, just we like to look at the logistics, though, because sometimes it does make sense and sometimes it does not.
Well, yeah, and sometimes we can find a way to explain it, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, which I guess it doesn't always need to because it is Disney. But, again, it's just fun to look into it like that.
What I found interesting was that because the pocket elf that they end up getting is essentially a pocket elf.
A pocket elf.
Because they're all, they have a designated subject that they know everything about, and this was the one that is an expert and knows everything about pocket elves. And something I found interesting is how they were talking about how there are pocket elves on magical and non-magical subjects. Because it mentioned, like, the Shaquille O'Neal pocket elf. And something that the elf said was that because of the Magic World Equal Opportunity Act, there were also non-magical subjects. And I thought that was so interesting and funny.
That was kind of funny.
And I wonder, like, when that was enacted.
Yeah, that's kind of funny there. Maybe it was around the same time as the actual Equal Opportunity Act, who knows?
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, no, you're right. That is kind of funny how the wizard world even has,
politics and social justice problems.
I think at one point in the series, like maybe season 3, we see Wizard Court.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Wizard Court? That was funny. We won't talk about it now because we're not there yet. But for now, we'll just talk about the Pocket Elves. But is there anything else you want to talk about? Pocket Elves? Oh, well, there is the big issue with Pocket Elves is that the big warning the big warning that Jerry gave was that you should never, ever, ever give a Pocket Elf chocolate.
Right, because for some reason they go absolutely insane.
They go absolutely haywire, which is kind of a safety issue.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Like, I mean, what young teen, isn't going to have at some point chocolate laying around or a snack, or a snack that involves chocolate.
Well, perfect example in that episode is like Jerry had not warned them ahead of time about this.
He was very vague, wasn't he?
Yes, and Max just happened to pull a chocolate bar out of his pocket, and he was like, "Wait, hold on."
Yeah, Jerry said never give him chocolate, but to never ever let him bite you.
Right.
But he didn't say what would happen.
Right. He really should have given them more information.
It was kind of vague, but they shouldn't have been messing with magic like that.
And if he would have explained it, then this whole episode wouldn't have happened. So.
Yeah, and of course it's always funny how these things always just happen to tie in with whatever problem Alex is going through. She's studying for Spanish test. She fails the Spanish test.
Yeah.
Has to retake the test or else she can't go on her date.
Right.
And of course she can't learn a whole language or at least learn enough to know what she needs to know for the test. So what does she do? She uses the Pocket Elf, which is the very thing that her dad... She's always using the educational tools that her father is giving her or that she's being provided, but like in the wrong way.
She's using it in a wrong way and she's using it without all the details usually. Usually she has just learned about it and does not know everything there is to know about it because she doesn't want to study and she doesn't want to learn all those things. And so she's usually missing key information that kind of messes everything up for her.
And I guess that's kind of something that, all young people have to go through.
Definitely.
You're always wanting to go against what your parents or what someone older than you says because you think, oh, well, I know better than them, and you usually find out the hard way. But, of course, with magic, there's a lot more consequences, but I just think that it's still so irresponsible of her to bring that Pocket Elf to school.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one thing to cheat by bringing the Pocket Elf out into the real world and studying in your lair or bringing it up to your room and writing stuff down or whatever, but she brought the Pocket Elf to school.
It was in her locker. In
her backpack. She brought it with her in class.
Yeah.
Because she bumped up against the wall. Oops, my bad.
Yeah.
But she bumped it up against the wall and brought it with her in her backpack to class. Which means if he's talking, which he's going to be, he was blabbing the whole time, that little Pocket Elf, but it's like, that's not good, because if somebody hears talking out of your backpack,
that's another potential magic exposure right there, which she somehow seems to get away with. I don't think anybody ever actually sees it, but easily
nobody ever sees it, nobody ever questions her, which I don't know how the thing was able to give her answers without nobody seeing it, but whatever, that's just more logistics. But
well, speaking of school, let's backtrack a little bit back to the beginning of the episode and go to school, because we meet a new character.
Yes.
Yeah, school in this episode. Alex's crush, what's his name?
Riley, played by Brian Kubak. I could be mispronouncing his name, Kubake. Anyway, Brian is who plays Riley. And this is the first time that we meet Riley. And funny enough, we don't really know anything about him.
No, he's
kind of just Alex's crush.
He's kind of a generic,
very generic
Disney Channel crush.
I think
not that much of a personality, but he's funny. He's a little
he's harmless, I think.
Yes.
Which
he's harmless. He's a little dumb, but in a sweet way.
Yeah, I do like Riley. I think that Riley is he's one of the more, I think, harmless boyfriends that Alex has.
Oh yeah.
I think in future episodes we start learning a little more about him. I think he's on the baseball team or something.
Okay.
Like he's really big into baseball. But anyway, what we do know is that he just got his learner's permit.
Yes.
I loved when Alex was like gushing, like, yeah, he
that
can.
Was so cool.
Yeah, he has a permit and he can drive anywhere from like, you know, what was it, like 5 days? Or I don't know what it was, but
it said like during daylight with an adult or a guardian or something like that.
And whatever it was, she just thought that was the coolest thing.
I love it so much.
That's so teenage.
And another thing that I really liked is when he was bragging about being able to drive. He told her that when he gets a car, he's gonna get a license plate keychain with her name on it, and she was just dying over that.
Yeah, well, she played it off. She goes, "Yeah, that's cool, whatever, if that's what you want," and then turns to Harper and goes, "Oh my gosh, Harper, that's like, yeah." She played it off to Riley and thought, yeah, whatevs. But then she was like, turning to Harper, which Harper, her character is, in the beginning, still thirsting over Justin.
Big time. Like,
which again,
hardcore.
Which, again, kind of came out of nowhere.
So far, right now, Harper's character has not developed much. I mean, she partially because, you know, we're only 3 episodes in, and she doesn't even know about magic yet, or that anybody is a wizard.
Right.
But right now, her main thing is that she is obsessed with Justin. I did notice, though, in that first scene that you see Harper in at school, that her outfit is the same outfit that she wears in the theme song. The one with the like little watermelons on it.
Good call.
I recognized that immediately.
Yeah, and the
so
way...
her style is already starting to evolve a little bit.
Yeah, they've made subtle hints at Harper being sort of, you know, fashionable. They had in the first episode, she was wearing whatever clothes that Alex didn't want her to wear, but of course Harper doesn't care. She wears what she wants. In the second one, she was making the theater seat costume. And then in this one, she, like you said, is wearing the watermelon. So yeah, she's starting to kind of develop, but it is it's a slow process. She gets
quirkier as the show goes on, which I love. I love Harper.
Yeah, naturally, I think as the show goes on, like once we get to like season 2 especially, the characters really start to evolve.
I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, that's going to be great. But yeah, so far Harper just has a really big crush on Justin.
Yeah.
And she's, you know, Alex's best friend. That's all we really know about her. But back to, real quick, Riley, because we talked about him, you know, getting his learner's permit. The one thing he does not shut up about is what kind of car he wants.
Oh, yes.
And the look of his car. And it was funny to me then, but it's even funnier now because he's sitting there talking about how he wants his car, quote-unquote, chopper style, with bigger tires in the back and smaller tires in the front.
What is that?
Which, I don't know if that was even cool in 2007, but that would definitely not be cool now.
I don't even think that was cool in 2007.
I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine the car that he wants, because you said he wanted to have a keychain with Alex's name on it. He wants chopper style, bigger tires in the back, smaller in the front. He wants it to be a midnight blue.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I'm trying to imagine this car, but
yeah, somebody needs to like draw or piece together what this vehicle would look like, because it sounds insane.
Typical, you know, 15, 16-year-old boy though.
Right.
Again, though, he's harmless. I think Riley is.
No, he's a sweet guy. He doesn't seem. Yeah.
But although I think wasn't he failing too? Was that
he
the,
is
was that
also
the thing?
failing Spanish
because she was real excited about failing Spanish.
But so the thing is that Alex is failing Spanish on purpose. So she even says at the beginning, failing Spanish is hard work, because she is just doing it to have something in common with Riley and to have to, you know, work with him and study with him.
Yeah.
So she is purposefully not trying. I think he is just not the smartest,
the brightest,
and not the bestest. I don't think he is failing on purpose. I think he's just not.
I think his interests are elsewhere.
Exactly.
We'll put it that way. I think
Yes.
his interests are elsewhere. I think he's the athletic type.
He likes
and he
his
likes
imaginary car.
And he likes cars.
Yeah.
I don't think academics are his strong suit, but let's face it, they're not Alex's either. So they have that in common. They got that going for him. But anyway.
Speaking of Spanish, though, I just absolutely, my favorite thing about this episode is the whole bit with Teresa finding out that Alex is failing Spanish and just thinking that she has absolutely failed her as a Latina mother for
she's
not
so
speaking Spanish in the house and not teaching Alex Spanish. And so she just takes all the responsibility and tries to teach Alex. And it is hilarious. It's one of my favorite interactions between the two of them.
Yeah.
When they're having that Spanish lesson. It's so good.
Como se dice? And then she's like, I don't know.
Lampito.
Capito. She tells Harper, consider this test pasito.
Yeah.
Harper goes, pasito? That's great. And then goes and talks to her friends. Yeah, she ain't going to be there. That's so funny. Comedy. The comedy in this show is probably one of my favorite parts, I think.
Yes.
The comedy in the show is fantastic. Speaking of characters, let's talk about the return of Amanda.
Yes, we love Amanda.
One of our favorite characters from the show.
Her second appearance so far?
This is the second appearance.
In 3 episodes. And she's already a new character.
She's already a new character. Well, she already has a new... She could be the same character.
She could be, yeah.
Just with a new job.
It's up for debate.
Because she does have that same kind of, I'm dreading every second of my existence is just...
Just that deadpan delivery.
Yes, which is fantastic.
Her. She's one of the highlights of this show to me.
Facts. And we did get confirmation that her last name is pronounced Tepe.
Yes.
Amanda Tepe.
We are saying it correctly now. We love her. We were actually just looking through her website just a minute ago, and turns out she's obviously she's an actor. She's directed a bunch of plays, but she's also a high school drama teacher now, which I think is really, really cool.
Out in California.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. We were trying to, because it really bugged me, because I was like, I want to know how to pronounce her last name.
Yeah.
And we got lucky. One of her students ended up saying her name.
Miss Tepe, yeah.
Miss Tepe.
Well, hey, I'm manifesting it now that someday we're going to have Miss Amanda Tepe on the podcast.
Oh, for sure. That'd be awesome.
I'm saying it out loud so that it happens.
For sure. I would love to hear what her memories are from that show and her experiences and interactions with Selena and the cast and everything.
She even had a little, a reel of all her appearances on Wizards on her website, so that was cool to see.
Yeah, and in episode 1, she was the saleswoman the sales manager.
Crazy 10-minute sale.
At the
Suburban Outfitters.
Suburban Outfitters, right. And now in episode 3, she is the hostess at the new restaurant in town, Medium Rare.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if maybe she was working at the Suburban Outfitters and was getting sick of her job or felt underappreciated, or maybe she just got fired, who knows.
Maybe.
And decided to take the new job as the hostess at Medium Rare. But either way, again, she has that same deadpan delivery.
I am still...
Which is iconic.
Right now, I'm still on board with the theory that she might actually be from the wizard world.
See,
and,
that's a very new theory that we came up with.
I love it. Stationed there by maybe Professor, what's his name? Crumbs.
She could be Crumbs, man.
That's so true.
She could just be.
I can
Crumbs,
see him doing that for fun and just to kind of monitor the Russo family.
Crumbs is a prankster too. He loves he's around for the goofs, man.
Yeah, and he also knows though that the Russo kids are a little reckless with magic and kind of need monitoring. And I wonder, because there's a lot of times in this show that we have already talked about a little bit, but we're going to get into much more as it gets on, where they do expose magic, clearly, to mortals or whatever you want to call them, and with little to no repercussions sometimes. So that makes me wonder if maybe Crumbs is around, disguised as Amanda's characters.
Oh, very good.
To kind of clean up those messes, if you will, so that wipe people's memories if needed and things like that. Yeah, I don't know, just a theory.
It's a fun theory.
Yes,
because whenever you're young and you're watching it, you're thinking, oh, that's funny, ha ha ha, it's the same person but in a different role. I get it, but now you're older, you start to you just kind of naturally want to add more to it. You're like, right. No, let's really divvy this up a little bit. Maybe she's an actual wizard. Maybe she's Crumbs. Who knows? Yes. But still, I love Amanda's character, and I can't wait to see her in future episodes.
So basically, this episode kind of comes to a head when we're at the restaurant, when Alex has cheated and passed her Spanish exam that she got to retake. and is able to go on her group date with Riley and everybody else. But of course, Justin and Max, their whole side quest in this episode is wanting to get back at Alex for ratting them out for playing paint or doing paintball on the terrace,
they were shooting.
right?
They were shooting paintball guns out on the terrace,
and she ratted them out, and so they're trying to get back at her. So they end up putting a pocket elf, the same one that she cheated with, in her purse, and the plan is to put chocolate in there as well, so that it freaks out.
Yes,
but that does not go as planned.
Didn't let's see. This whole thing started because Justin and Max ratted out Alex for failing Spanish, right?
Yes.
And then she, in return, ratted them out for shooting paintballs.
Yep.
And then now they're trying to get back at Alex for that. It's like, come on, like, sibling rivalry. Will it ever end?
It's
no.
An endless cycle.
Endless cycle. But no, you're right. Everything comes to a head at the restaurant. So Justin and Max, their plan is to tangle Alex's belt in a knot and pass that off as their grand plan.
The prank, yeah.
Oh no, you outsmarted us,
Yeah.
But of course they have something else planned, and well, the plan was to have the pocket elf eat chocolate at the restaurant. Come to find out, Max didn't even put the chocolate in the purse to begin with.
No, he forgot.
So there's just a pocket elf sitting in there.
Can I just say though, like, I can't believe how willing Justin was to expose magic, because that would have exposed magic.
That's pretty reckless.
And he's usually, like, later on, he's the one that's so serious about all this stuff. But, like, this is one of many examples where he just casually, with no regard to anything. Well, that elf would have gone all over the place. Everybody would have seen it.
Yeah, that brings up a good point, because it's almost like he's so blinded for his, I'm not going to say hatred, but his
anger.
His wanting revenge at Alex, that he'll almost do anything to, expose, or not expose magic, but he'll do anything to
get back at her,
to embarrass her in front of her friends, or make her seem like. And this brings up an interesting dynamic between Max and Alex, or Max and Justin, that we've seen so far, that I kind of never considered until this watch through, the one that we're doing now. And that is that so far we've seen this dynamic between Max and Justin, that they're always together plotting against Alex.
That is true.
Like classic, brothers, against sister.
Yeah.
It's like the eternal war against, brother versus sister. Or in this case, brothers versus sister.
That's interesting.
But as the series goes on, I don't really feel like Justin and Max have that sort of tight brotherhood.
Yeah.
That kind of friendship and relationship that they have now. Because in episode 1, they were all for, not covering for Alex while she was at the Suburban Outfitters at the crazy 10-minute sale. She duplicated herself, and they're in the lair and messing with her duplicate.
Right.
Why are you hitting yourself? And just having fun with it. I don't think they realized that what they were doing to the duplicate was happening to actual Alex.
Right.
But either way,
but they've had that.
It was
that
just
brotherly bond.
Yeah, it was always them versus her.
Yeah,
then in this episode, it's kind of the same way too. But I don't feel that dynamic is the same in future episodes.
No, I feel like as Max gets older and kind of, because he's still really young in this first season. How old is he supposed to be? Maybe like,
I would say 13.
I was gonna say 12 or 13. And so I feel like as he gets older and like kind of develops, his own sense of self a little bit more, he's kind of less just clinging on to what Justin's doing, and he's either doing his own weird thing or he's deciding which sibling to side with in each circumstance.
100%.
Because he really is more in the middle as it goes on, because sometimes he'll side with Alex if it serves him, but if not, he'll go with Justin.
You make an excellent point, because as soon as you said that, the first episode that came to my mind was when Alex gets Jerry Merlin's hat.
Yes. For his birthday.
Yep, and
that's what I was thinking.
Max, at first, is siding with Justin because Justin's gift went so well, went over real well with Jerry. But as soon as Max sees how Jerry responds to Alex's gift, he immediately goes, "Oh,
name on that.
Yeah, that was for me too, Dad."
But
I think the dynamic changes because as the series goes on, it becomes less about this, generic brothers versus sister sibling rivalry. And it develops into, that classic rivalry develops into just, I think, Alex versus Justin.
Yeah.
Sibling rivalry. But also, they're kind of against each other as far as the wizard competition goes.
That's so true, yeah.
They both want to keep their powers. I feel like when it comes to that whole dynamic, at least for a while, Max doesn't really care.
No, he doesn't.
Max isn't even in the... I don't want to say he's not even in the competition, but he's almost not even in the competition at all.
He's not a threat to them.
He doesn't really even seem to want to be the wizard as much as... No. Justin wants to be the wizard because he identifies so strongly with being a wizard and is very proficient at it and is very comfortable with it. Alex wants to be the wizard almost out of spite for Justin, but also it's because it's all she knows too. She's used magic. It's a crutch, though.
As a crutch, yeah.
Justin uses magic because he studied it and he has a appreciation for it.
Like academically, almost.
It's academically, yeah, absolutely. And whereas Alex is almost using it kind of like Kelbo does, where it's a crutch.
Very true.
And
that's why she loves Kelbo so much.
Lots of people want to draw connections between Kelbo and Max.
No.
That's where the similarities end right there, is that Kelbo relies on magic. Max does not.
Yeah,
at all.
True. That's true.
At all. And we'll see these things kind of evolve throughout the episode. But it's just really cool to kind of dive further into these things, because I noticed that the relationship right now between the Russos is very much just your generic sibling.
Right.
With magic sprinkled in.
They haven't developed too much yet.
With magic hilarity kind of just sprinkled on top. We'll see some crazier stuff as we go on. But yeah, anyway, we'll continue talking about what happens at the restaurant, because Max and Justin end up sliding that piece of chocolate into the purse, giving it to the pocket elf. And what happens? The pocket elf does not freak out. It actually bites Alex.
Yep.
Which we know that Jerry earlier said, don't let a pocket elf bite you.
Right, but he didn't say why.
But also, why does this pocket elf not freak out?
That's what I was wondering. I don't think that's really explained.
The first pocket elf, we see the pocket elf's pocket elf.
Yeah.
Jerry, as a demonstration, went ahead and gave it some chocolate, which it went on a freaking rampage.
Right.
Which
they tried to contain it.
Really quick, sidebar, amazing comedic acting by David DeLuise in that scene.
Absolutely, with an empty box.
Because that empty, nothing's in that box, and he's just shaking violently, like, everybody make a,
I love
run for the exit.
DeLuise.
And he just absolutely killed that. He just played it so well. Because you're thinking it's something in the box freaking out, but no. Anyway, this pocket elf at the restaurant doesn't react in any sort of way, so it's kind of odd. But as soon as it bites Alex, she goes, "Ow! Something bit me." It's like, why would you say that out loud?
Talking to your
purse, like everybody
all around. Harper's right next to you.
Now, thank goodness we got some ditzy people like Riley and Harper who don't seem to really question much around them.
Right.
Even
She's
after
right
this episode,
there talking into her purse. I don't understand.
And nothing happens. But we can now conclude the reason why you don't want a pocket elf to bite you is because their chocolate addiction now becomes your chocolate addiction.
Yep.
It's almost like how zombies infect other zombies, but instead of like a flesh-eating disease, it's chocolate.
That's so true. It pretty much is zombies.
Which is like a fun Disney Channel thing, but the way it unfolds is hilarious, because she goes from eating chocolate cake, drinking chocolate shakes,
just stealing everybody's chocolate desserts, all
ruining everybody's dinner. Could you imagine you and I
shoving everybody's desserts into her face?
Imagine you and I were out for a date or something like that, a date night.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden this crazy teen girl comes up and goes, "Oh, chocolate? Is it chocolate? I like chocolate." And then takes a big bite of it and then starts rolling on the floor in it. I'd be like, get this girl some help.
And what I want to know about this whole thing is that obviously Riley is super freaked out by all of this, and all of her friends that are at the table are like super weirded out. And Harper definitely seems confused, but we just don't readdress what Harper thinks of all of this, because she does not know that Alex is a wizard. She still tries to cover for her though. Like she tells Riley when he's leaving because he's freaked out that, she had a great time and she definitely wants to go out with you again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you thinking about your best friend, like, running around this place, like, destroying it and shoving chocolate in her face?
That's true.
So strange. That's
true, and it's even funnier because Riley, at least at the end of this episode, looks like he's kind of like, I'm turned off, and I'm done. He kind of like leaves hurriedly, but we know he comes back.
That's true.
She must win him back over or something,
or he forgot about it somehow.
Or he forgot about it, or just doesn't care.
Maybe Amanda's character, who is the president at the restaurant, wipes everybody's minds who was at the table.
Amanda.
So Harper doesn't remember it either. Nobody does.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. it gets like...
Amanda is crumbs.
Amanda is a very high power, a high caliber wizard of some sort.
Absolutely.
I like this theory. This is a running theory now.
Well, and it fixes a lot of the plot holes, so I like it.
For sure. No, you're 100% correctly. I wonder how much fun it would have been for Selena to film that scene.
Oh my, I was thinking the same. Well, some of it doesn't seem fun because, like, yeah, you're
I would love to roll in
face,
chocolate.
but, like, it was so much. It was, like, way too much. She pours an entire bowl of, like, chocolate fondue all over herself.
Do you think it was real chocolate?
It looks like it. I don't know what else that would be.
I would love that.
I don't think you would as much as you think you do.
The cleanup would be awful.
Yeah.
In the moment would be...
pour that all over myself.
In the moment would be great, but as soon as they say cut, and then it's just you on set...
Exactly.
Like, of course, if you're a girl, you have long hair, so like, ooh, imagine
yeah,
all that...
and her hair was soaked in it when they got back to the apartment.
Yes, imagine all of, like, your hair just covered in sticky chocolate.
Shampoo it like 4 times.
And that whole outfit is ruined, but I guess you have magic, so whatever. So should we consider this an exposure of magic? Because one thing that we're doing on this podcast, if nobody remembers, one thing that we're kind of keeping track of is all of the times that the Russos potentially do expose magic.
Yeah.
So far, we only have a current score of 1. In episode 1, because Alex and Justin are messing with the duplicate in the lair, and everything they're doing with to the duplicate affects real Alex. Alex is spinning out of control like a tornado.
Right.
And Suburban Outfitters.
Yep. And
everybody's just kind of standing around, which if that happened in real life, that'd be on the news.
Yeah, because that's unnatural.
That would be on the news. That would be like a viral thing.
I don't think I'm going to consider this one an exposure.
Really?
It's very close, but she doesn't... She goes crazy, but she doesn't do anything unexplainable.
I'm not... maybe I ain't talking about Alex. Maybe we should point the blame to Max and Justin. Did Max and Justin potentially expose magic?
But potential is different than actually... Did they potentially? Yes, and they would have if their plan had gone correctly.
Well, that's the case. And the first one wouldn't have been a exposure either. That's just a potential.
Yes, it was because they saw her spinning like a tornado that a human can't do.
Right, but now they're seeing someone having an unnatural addiction to chocolate sliding through.
Yeah, and it's weird, but it's not supernatural. Okay. You just
think this one can be explained away?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard, but, anyone can do that.
Okay.
It's what's wrong? Something's wrong with her brain.
I'm on the fence because...
I don't think it counts.
Because Jerry even called him out and said, do you guys realize you could have exposed magic?
You could have. I don't think they did.
Okay, so we're still at 1 then.
In my opinion. It's very, very close,
for sure.
Though.
This one, I think, was very, very close. If
you want to count it, we can.
Well, no, you do make a good point because it was still natural in the sense that there's still this one coming up in season 1 that I can think of right now that is just...
Just blatant.
It's inexcusable.
I can't wait.
There's actually 2 in the same episode. It's inexcusable.
Oh, I can't wait.
So I think you're correct. There has to be a certain standard.
There has to be a line.
And even though this is very bizarre.
Yeah, it's bizarre, but it's not.
But anybody could do this.
Yes.
I could do this.
Yeah, and Selena Gomez did it. They didn't have to add in any weird effects or any magic effects to show what was happening.
Okay, so that makes sense.
It's close, but no.
That makes sense. I can agree with that. Now, we also do like to, at the end of every episode, talk about our favorite quote.
Yes.
This show is absolutely funny. There's so many comedic moments and so many comedic lines that sometimes it's too hard to pick just one quote.
Yeah.
So who should disclose their...
I'll go first if you want me to. Okay. We didn't even talk this time beforehand about what our picks were, so I hope we didn't pick the same thing.
Oh, not either.
I had a few things written down, so I had to narrow it down. But my favorite, and I'm going to give the context a little bit first, was early on in the episode when Alex accuses Justin and Max of doing paintball on the terrace. And they're like, no, we didn't do it. And Jerry pulls open the curtain, and the window is covered in paint. Covered.
Multicolored, rainbow colored.
And Justin goes... Oh, what are pigeons eating nowadays?
Yes, I actually considered that one to be my favorite quote too.
So good.
That is absolutely hilarious. The fact that was his first
cover up,
his first thought is amazing.
I love it.
And the way he says, "What are pigeons eating?" The way he plays it off, or at least tries to.
Good.
So good.
What's your favorite?
Mine actually is again from Amanda. Mm-hmm. Amanda's character. So in episode 1, my favorite quote was also from Amanda's character.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
And so in this one, it's the same. So I'll give some context too. So whenever they actually do get to the restaurant, to the date, Alex and Harper and some of the other people show up, and the hostess asks, how many people are in your party?
Oh, yes.
And
this is so good. I should have written this.
And they're going through the whole, well, if so-and-so shows up, then so-and-so isn't going to show up.
Right.
But if so-and-so does show up, then these folks are definitely going to show up as well.
Right, but if this person shows up, I have to leave because we're fighting.
Exactly.
That's what Harper said.
Yes. That was so good. So it's like typical, teen drama.
Yeah.
But basically, it comes down to, it'll be 10, 11, 13, or 12. And so my favorite quote is when Amanda, deadpan response, says, follow me to your table for 10, 11, 13, or 12.
So good. 13 or 12.
13 or 12. The way it was worded, the way it was delivered, everything about that line is just perfect to me. So that one's absolutely my favorite.
We stand Amanda.
Absolutely. Okay, so is there any other comments you want to make about episode 3 as we're wrapping up?
This was a really fun one. I mean, they all are, and we love every episode of this show. But I've noticed, especially in the first season, it gets better and better each episode as these characters get established and they get more comfortable and we start to see their personalities come out a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So this was a really good one, and I'm really excited to keep going.
Just for fun, before we started recording, I did a Google search on pocket elves.
Uh-huh.
And I got search results. I think they might be an actual toy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure when they were first invented or anything. I didn't get too deep into it, but I searched pocket elves, and there's websites where you can go and buy they're kind of just like little stuff.
Right.
They're just, I would say stuffed animals, but they're not animals. They're just elves. They're just stuffed elves, basically.
Right. Interesting.
Elf puppet toys, basically looking. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
They're odd, but anyway.
Like elf on the shelf.
So I was kind of wondering if anybody, I was wondering if anybody listening had ever heard of a pocket elf, or if that's a real thing, or if you wanted to provide us some extra info.
Yeah, definitely.
Either way, definitely leave us your comments and thoughts on episode 3.
If you are watching along with us, let us know what your favorite quote was from this episode. I would love to hear what everybody's picks are from each episode as we go.
Absolutely. And then if you want, you can also follow us over on Instagram. We are under the Wizards Lair podcast.
Yes.
We'll be posting, updates on the podcast and in general Wizards content. So definitely head over to Instagram and follow us over at the Wizards Lair. This has been episode 3. My name is Xander.
My name is Daphne.
Have a great day, everybody.
See you guys next time.